The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
And welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Tier Tuesdays here with the HighLowSports podcast, where we'll take all 32 NFL teams and put them into tiers based on what they did last week, as well as their overall season production. It is DJ, joined as always by my co-host Kelsey, and this week kind of threw a wrench in just about everybody's plans, it feels like. I think even the teams that won, they didn't feel good about it. Or the favorites that won didn't feel good about it. And then the other teams, they just have a sour taste in their mouth. This was the worst bettors weekend if you pick the smart picks.
Yeah, look, I don't know how many. So I have a habit of what I'll do is I'll bet per time slot. And every time slot let me down with at least one game. And it was always just like what it was you weren't expecting. The Browns. Really? Really, Browns? Like, come on. Was it the Eagles? Yeah, really? Like, don't even get me started. I literally hated this weekend of betting. I'm not betting anymore. I don't think I can officially anymore. This started with Notre Dame continuously letting me down, even though I grew up a fan of them, and they let me down then. They couldn't support me now, and they're just ruining every single one of my bets this season. So I can't bet on college football. Now I can't bet on NFL football. I just don't know what to do anymore.
What you can bet on, though, is another episode of Tier Tuesdays here. We're going to have some fun here from top to bottom. We're going to break out the list right as we look at it. We're going to work our way from the bottom to the top this time. At the bottom, these teams just stink. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We got the Carolina Panthers, the last remaining winless team, and the Tennessee Titans, who aren't even properly tanking because they win just a little bit too often, but then they lose. I mean, you lost to Gardner Minshew and Ryan Tannehill, and then you lost Ryan Tannehill against Lamar and the Ravens. Malik Willis is out there getting sacked 6 times. Will Levis isn't active. I don't know what they're doing. They're a mess. Getting cooked for Caleb. Same story, different chapter. It's the same 5 teams as last week, basically. Just the Bears are back in there now. All these teams, they're basically hoping to win the Caleb Williams sweepstakes and restart their life, it feels like. Rather bad. There's not much more needs to be said. They're the Packers, the Raiders, the Vikings. Not quite getting cooked for Caleb, but at the same time, they're still not going anywhere, especially the Raiders. 3-3, what are you doing? You're supposed to be in the Drake May, Caleb Williams sweepstakes, and you keep beating up on the other contenders for Caleb. What are you doing? You're beating up on the mediocre teams and making yourself look good. Not as good or as frisky as some of the other teams. We got the Saints, the Chargers, the Colts, the Falcons. They're okay. They're not as bad as the other ones, but they're not as good as the other ones. Some of them were a little frisky just a week ago. Some of them were even good at one point. A little frisky. Your Pittsburgh Steelers didn't play this week, but they're going to go here based on that defense exclusively. The Houston Texans, with the way CJ Stroud's playing, they will always be at least frisky. 3-3 right now, too. 3rd in the division, in a contention for a wild card spot. Your actual Dallas Cowboys, coming off a interesting win Monday night. They made the plays when they needed to, and Dak used his legs. We've been asking for it since we started the podcast, basically, because that's around the time it stopped. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you'll beat up on every team below you, but you're going to struggle with the teams above you if we've learned anything. So they're frisky at this point. They might annoy a few of these other teams as well. Washington, Sam Howell didn't get hit 40 times, and he looked pretty darn good. So maybe if they can find a way to keep him upright, we'll see. And unfortunately, benching Emmanuel Forbes, as much as I like what he can be, benching him was probably the best thing right now. Bring him in spot duty, let him get a little better instead of saying, go guard A.J. Brown one-on-one, or go guard DJ Moore one-on-one. The Jets pulling off what could have been the upset of the week if it wasn't for every other damn game that happened this week. Still, Zach Wilson, since he saw Donna Kelsey in person, he's looked pretty good. The Rams with those receivers, Cooper Kupp's healthy and has not missed a beat. That hamstring injury. Stafford's able to get them the ball. The Rams still very frisky. Rather good. Cincinnati, now 3-3, surprisingly, and Joe Burrow's weird. I saw on one of the sports shows. His calf looks good when he's running for his life, but when he's throwing the ball, it still looks a little bit awkward. He makes no sense. But they got a much-needed bye week coming in, so we'll see what they look like after that. Browns, that defense, outstanding. Offense still leaves some to be desired, but P.J. Walker, you never know. They found a way to be in a lot of these games. The Seattle Seahawks lost a tough one to the Bengals. I still think that offense can be outstanding. They had their way between the 20s. They got to the red zone and they floundered. Jacksonville, 4-2, top of the AFC South. Closely have won 3 games in a row, 2 of them overseas and 1 in Jacksonville. They either win out of the country or they beat the Colts. That's their entire stick.
Hey, got to get a restart somehow.
You got to find a way. So the Jaguars right now top of the AFC South. And the Ravens, they're basically kind of what we thought. They're just really good. Lamar finds a way to win one way or the other. Pretending that Sunday didn't happen, we got the 2 undefeated teams that went down this week, plus the Bills, who they may have survived the Giants, but they are not happy about that. And then we got the elites, Kansas City, Miami, and a new surprise team up here at the top. We got your Detroit Lions as well. This one you might actually claim as this one is your Detroit Lions. I thought they were a year away when we did our preseason predictions. I thought they would build off what they did last year, but the record would kind of stagnate that next year we'd see this. No, that's Jared Goff. If your MVP list doesn't have him in the top 5, it's wrong. Ben Johnson is outstanding. Jameson Williams is that deep threat they wanted. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a top 10 receiver, and I will not be told otherwise. If David Montgomery's injury lingers, that's a little worrisome, but that's a top few team. They've beaten the other team, one of the other teams on this category. Like, that's all that needs to be said. So here's what we're looking at, Kelsey. Who we moving, who we shucking, who we driving, who we leaving.
Before we get started, I do have to go to pretending Sunday didn't happen, and I need to add my face there because I'm also pretending Sunday didn't happen because that was stupid. All Sunday was stupid. No, okay, let's start.
Here, let me add the high-low logo right there just for both of us.
Yeah, there you go. But no, seriously. So let's start with the elites here for just a second. I just have a couple comments here. Tyreek Hill, 188 yards away from 1,000, and it's week 6, going into week 7. Like, stupid. Travis Kelce, his ankle was dead. His ankle is somehow alive. He still looks good. They're still fine. Kansas City just needs to find a running back to hand the ball off to in the red zone. Still the issue. Lions. I don't know what to make of this team. I want them to be like, oh, like this is the Lions team I've been like rooting for to come out of nowhere. I thought they were still a year away. I still feel like they're a year away, but they're just proving me wrong multiple times now, and I don't like it. This is too many times to keep being like, no, we're gonna keep upsetting all your bets this week. Yeah, I don't like it. Although I did pick them to beat the Bucks. I mean, that was not one of the ones that upset me, but it's just weird. Lose David Montgomery, they shouldn't be performing as well as they did. So we'll see how that goes. 5-1. I mean, at this point in time, you're pretty much on the driver's seat for the North, and yeah, there's literally nothing the Lions can do right now other than lose out that would cost them a playoff spot in the North right now with how bad that division is. So yeah, elite, playoff contender, potential Super Bowl contender because they'll be in the top 4. Possible. All of those things are possible. Moving now to pretending Sunday didn't happen, but I have no comment in this category. We're just going to keep moving. Rather good. Actually, no, shout out Damian Harris. Hope he's okay. That's all I have to say about that category. Rather good, though. The Bengals. Something about this team, just they always start slow. There's always an injury in the beginning of the season, whether it's to Joe Burrow or a major superstar or major receiver or both. Well, you had both this season, which cost you 3 games. Well, now you're 3-3. You feel pretty good. You're rolling on all cylinders, and you get to go into your big stretch in the middle of the season and see what you can do. If they can come out of this stretch, I think it's 6 games, the next 6 games. If they can come out of this 4-2, I'm sorry, but you're talking about a 7-5 team, and you're looking pretty good in that AFC North as well. So, not a bad situation for the Bengals to be in. Same conversation for the Browns. Copy and paste. PJ Walker. PJ Walker looking like PJ Walker, the XFL PJ Walker, not PJ Walker, the previous NFL multi-starter for different teams. PJ Walker. I mean, that was a fantastic performance from him. He knew what he had. He knew what he could do. He knew what he had to do, and he did it. Most importantly, that defense looked like a top 5 defense. Honestly, a top 2 defense. Arguably number 1 defense. I don't want to go that far, baby, but
Statistically the best in the last 50 years through 6 games.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fantastic thing to watch. Maybe they need to get in a couple more scuffles before the game and maybe come out with another boombox before the next game. I mean, at this point in time, just copy paste what you just did and do it again. Also, Kareem Hunt looking like he's Kareem Hunt again. Jerome Ford, look, say what you will about Jerome Ford. That was my gold button award winner for going into fantasy. I think he's going to be something special this year. Well, if Kareem Hunt continues to take the carries like this, he could be a spell back for Kareem Hunt that does really well. Seahawks, look, I mean, yeah, no surprise here. Jaguars, it took a little home cooking in London. I said it before they went to London that I think this could be a home cooking situation for them. They get going and watch out on the backside of things. Ravens, yeah, it is what it is. The Ravens, they have Lamar. You're always in a game if you have Lamar. If only they would have completed that pass to Mark Andrews about 5 minutes ago in the thing, then I wouldn't have been complaining about my bets during that time frame. But you know what? Here we are. I'm complaining about something. A little frisky. You can't move the Steelers. They didn't do anything. CJ Stroud, 4th best quarterback passing wise this year. Fun fact for you. 4th in the league in yards. Cowboys, Dak Prescott actually running the ball. You said it in the lead in. Where's this been? Sam Howell, top 10 quarterback. Buccaneers might be the one that maybe is not as good as Frisky, not as good or Frisky, but you know what? Honestly, they're just fine there. I don't want to move them because they're going to probably win the AFC or the NFC South. It's just kind of what it is. New York Jets. Okay, Zach Wilson, you're here. Okay, Breece Hall, you're here. On one of the plays, I think it was Mekhi Becton, dropped the same defensive end twice and pointed at him and laughed at him during the same play. So yeah, this Jets team looks pretty good. The defense even better, taking away the Williams brothers, Quentin and Quentin, getting takeaways each. First time that's happened in 30 years, something like that.
Since Jordan and Jonathan Badman knows what they said, so it's been about like 10 to it's been like 15 to 20.
Since real brothers did it, real football players did it, it's been about 30 years. Sorry, Badman brothers. I'm just kidding. I don't mean that, Jonathan. But no, the Rams. Yeah, running back. This is a question mark. Running back question mark. But they're still frisky. Matt Stafford's healthy, so Cooper Kupp. That was a stupid performance this last weekend. So,
hated it.
Do it.
My fantasy teams going against him hated it.
Yeah, 100%. I literally lost the game because I lost one of my work fantasy league, my work league game because of that, and now I'm in second place and no longer undefeated because of Cooper Kupp's ridiculous performance.
Pain.
The Saints here not as good as Frisky or Frisky. I think this team could change to a little Frisky depending on how Jameis performs. Obviously, Alvin Kamara will be actually coming back fully to the team. He should be in a full situation in the next week or so. So that could change where this team goes. The Colts, I don't think they're going to get any better right now. Gardner, you kind of see what the problem with having Gardner Minshew in there is. Look, the running back situation is going to get better. The defense should get better as well, but I don't know if it's going to be good enough to get him out of this position. Chargers should be better than a little Frisky, but Quentin Johnston has no game. He has less than 20 total yards this season. So only rookie receivers in the first 2 rounds drafted to have less than 20 yards through the season. So pitiful. The Falcons, I kind of want to just put them in a category by themselves to say, hey, Kyle Pitts scored finally. Congratulations, Arthur Smith. But that's really all they had going for him. Oh, by the way, Desmond Ridder actually, fun fact for you, Desmond Ridder is a top 12 quarterback in the league passing wise.
That's how we know it's been a wacky ass season so far.
Yeah. Rather bad. That's all fine. I don't have any complaints there. Getting cooked for Caleb. I don't even know what to do with the Giants here. Like, yes, they're getting cooked, but are they getting cooked for Caleb or are they just getting cooked? I mean, at this point in time, I don't know. But I do know this. Justin Pugh straight off the couch might be one of the best offensive linemen they have. And if they get rid of him like an idiot like they're planning on doing, they're planning on demoting him back to the practice squad. And that's just an idiotic move. Best offensive lineman you have there, unless you are really tanking for Caleb, in which case, okay, bye. But I will say this, based off Brian Dabble's face with Tyrod Taylor on a couple of those plays, they might actually be tanking for Caleb now. It might be a legitimate thing, or Shedeur, or another one of these quarterbacks, Bo Nix, Michael Penix, who I still stand by is probably the Heisman frontrunner now after that performance this last weekend. So, yeah, they're hunting for somebody at quarterback, but I don't know. Oof, it's rough there for the Giants. Patriots are the Patriots. Bears, their meteoric rise comes with a meteoric fall. Wasn't pretty. Justin Fields will have to see how he comes back with his dislocated finger. But yeah, they're right now still getting cooked for again. I don't think it's Caleb, but I think it's somebody else in this top 10 in the draft. And just stink. I don't have any comments on these two. They are just that bad. I lied. I do have a comment on the Titans because I continuously have a comment on the Titans, and I will stand by this. Mike Vrabel was the most overrated head coach in the league. He has literally gotten this position multiple years in a row because he has Derrick Henry. He puts out a subpar defense the last 2 years. By the way, 32nd ranked last year, continuously 32nd ranked this year. Not to count the fact that he has a poor offense. You have Ryan Tannehill, who is one of the most subpar quarterbacks that's in the league right now after having one of the most exciting seasons 3 seasons ago. You trade A.J. Brown. You get what's supposed to be his replacement, who can't even see the field because he has asthma. And yeah, the Titans are just. I don't even, again. I want to put another category out here, just like below just stink and just the Titans.
Just
Maybe go back to Houston. I can't wait for the Oiler throwbacks.
That's another situation for
They're
sure.
only going to win. By the way, they're only going to win the Oiler throwback games at this point in time.
We'll see if they even win those the way it's going. It's been a bit of a rough downturn too, but this is what we're looking at for Tier Tuesdays. Let us know in the comment section down below what we got right, what we got wrong, who you think is going to be a big mover, and who do you think is going to be a big loser at the end of this. So we appreciate you all for joining us. Go and check out our live show Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. NBA season's right around the corner, so we're going to be predicting that thing as well. You don't want to miss that. We appreciate you all for tuning in, and we will see you all again next time.